They're showing the finals, chat, of this championship. That's our ace that we saw, and I think he's going to be going up against Emu, right? I don't think I recognize the other player. Yeah, I think Emu just had a really tough start to the game, and Ace just establishing the 3 new gates was just like nice. Like exactly what he wanted to do. Emu did not do what he wanted to do in the game for the most part, and Ace did exactly what he wanted to do. So it looks like comparatively to the top 4 match, the order is going to be flipped a little bit. Ace going second in this matchup and Emu going first. We saw our Emu player in the top 4 round have a really tough time on the draws, so we'll see if this game is a little bit more even to start between these 2 players. I think that these are their starting hands. These are not their mulligan hands that they're going into. I could be wrong about that. And so Emu, this hand is awful. Oh my goodness. This could be a quick finals, chat. 3 equilibriums. This must be a mulligan hand because I would put these back so fast. If this was my starting hand, this has to be a mulligan hand. This has to be a hand that he unfortunately has to deal with. 3 equilibriums, a Mary Joie, when you put out the empty throne stage at the beginning of the game, and Marcus Mars. The Marcus Mars could be nice in case the ace player does play something like Yamato or Marco, right? You're going to be able to remove it off the field. But, wow. The ace player doesn't have the most incredible hand, but he has searches to be able to find different key pieces of the puzzle, so his hand looks infinitely better than the Emu's. But holy moly, chat. This could be an interesting game. We are 1 bad search from a very interesting game. Although Ace, though, what I will say is he has 3 searchers and 2 Otamas that will instantly draw him cards. Ace, in my opinion, does have the better hand, but he is like 1 search away from also having a terrible game. Listen, if you've seen my videos or you've maybe seen me at an event, I love Nengarden playmats. And especially with Black Friday, now is an insane time to get your very own playmat. Or maybe a gift for somebody else. All of the standard playmats are going to be cut at a discount. And not only that, you've got stickers, pins, apparel, that's also going to be discounted on the website. And these discounts are already so good, and you know I've got a code there for a discount of your own, but it's actually been bumped up to 10% to help you save even more on this Black Friday. Make sure to stack up the savings and get a great gift for either yourself or somebody else this holiday season. The link to Nengarden's website where you can get your next favorite TCG product is in the description below. Thank you so much to Nengarden for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to that video. All right, Emu starting out for turn is definitely going to be using his leader effect, pitching the Mary Joie. What does he draw as he passes off for the turn? It looks like a 10-drop Elder, so the 10-drop Elder is nice, but it's not very nice when you don't have the Elders set up, so we'll see how the rest of the game goes. The ace player accidentally reveals a card in the top 5. It was definitely not malicious, but the judge letting him look at that top 5 is going to grab a 10-drop Newgate, putting the rest to the bottom of the deck, and probably the Gum Gum Red Rock, now that it is revealed to both players, probably more than likely just going to the top of the deck. Yeah, very easy solution, right? Please be careful when you're doing your searches, and now is just going to do another Ezo search. So Ezo now looking at the top 5. We know one of those cards not going to be able to be grabbed off of the Ezo has a 4-drop Marco. So Ace now does have plays that he can do in the coming turns. And so Marco is probably going to be what's played in the next turn, passing off to the Emu, especially with the Ezos, right? Ezos are a great searcher to have at this point in the game for the ace, because with the Ezos, you can use that opponent's attack effect to be able to draw 1 card and bottom deck 1 card, filter the hand a little bit. Emu, starting out with the Searcher event, is going to find a Saturn, a Nuzjuro, and also a Jupiter. So does find a couple Elders to be able to utilize, does find the Saturn to be able to utilize, Definitely one of the better elders to have, and now off of leader effect with the Equilibrium is going to draw into a Shalria. So the hand is starting to come together for both players. We're going to have probably a fair game, if anything. And so it's going to depend on this Emu player if he wants to swing 6 or 7 with lead, and is going to swing a 6. Is going to force a card out of hand, ace using his leader effect and passing off the turn, leaving 1 Dawn open, maybe for his Equilibrium, deciding not to play the Shalria. So going in, now ace swinging 6,000 power is just going to go ahead, use that Equilibrium event, stay healthy on the life, now playing the Marco. The good thing about the even curve, if you're the Emu player, is that if Marco goes down right now, right on potentially a block, that does mean that you only get to draw 2 cards because there's no Dawn ×1 on ace. And so does have the Saturn now. It did pick up, I believe that's a PRB02 2K Sabo that he drew for turn. So now on 5, Dawn can use the empty throne for the Saturn, but starts off swinging 6 at lead, keeps him guessing at this point. Does counter 2K out with Otama to stay at a full 3 life. Oh, I'm sorry. No, can use the leader effect because that's not the Dawn ×1. The draw is the Dawn ×1. It's easy to mix up. I mix those up sometimes. But yeah, the Dawn ×1 is the draw. Starts out with the draw on the Shalria. Does have a couple options that he can utilize with the 10 Elders and also the Charlos. Can't grab the Shirahoshi at this point. Looks like his 2K package in this version of the deck, not being the Navy version, but being the Shirahoshi and the PRB Sabo. And so is thinking about grabbing the Charlos and not the 10-drop Elders. Does already have one in hand. Is maybe thinking about grabbing a second one. The second one could be nice if you don't find any more in this game, right? As we saw in the top 4 round, not many 10-drop Elders played at that point. Still has to pitch one for the Shalria effect. Is going to be the Equilibrium. And now using leader effect to pitch the Shalria, draw 1 more card. Does find a War Curie right now. So tapping the 3 is more than likely playing this Saturn. Saturn going to be able to look at that top 5. That top 5 is going to find a couple different options. Could find another Saturn to continue the searching. Does also see originally it was never there. Is going in with that. Bottom decking 2 of these Saturns. Originally, it was never there. A great event card, right? Being able to give plus 4,000 power on the field. And now we pass into the Ace's turn. Well, Spartan, in OP13, GP Luffy gets a boost in that new blocker Nami. And so starting out with the Garp is going to be looking at that top 5, maybe looking for something like a Yamato to play on this turn. Does have a Jozu the 8-cost event that he is going to grab. Just going to set himself up for the coming turns after he goes to 8. And now he's got 5 Dawn to work with on this turn. Does not have much that he can do at this point, except maybe attach Dawn and go in with swing. Might go ahead and play this other Izo to maybe find like a second Marco to be able to utilize. I think we just bottom decked a Marco, so only 2 left, I think, at this point. I've seen some people say that Croc is not bad of a deck, for sure. And so is going to go in with that Izo, try to find a Whitebeard Pirate card. Does only find a event and Jozu, so ends up going for the second of his events in hand. So now with the swing on the Marco is going to be 7,000 power. Aren't some GP Luffys? I feel like I've seen some GP Luffys play another searcher, but I can't remember what that searcher is. That's not a Nami searcher. Am I crazy? And so is going to go 2K, 1K to get out of that 7,000 power swing. Now a swing with lead is going to decide between 7 and 9 how much he wants to actually go. Is going to be 7 to take a life. Is going to be no trigger, be a Nuzjuro. I think he's got access now to all 5 Elders at this point, as we see Marcus Mars and Nuzjuro in the hand, War Curie and Jupiter in the trash, and Saturn on the field. So is going to be set up in the coming turns. Looks like going to be a relatively even game. Now going in with the Otama playing over the Ezo. I would have maybe thought that he would have played over the Garp instead of the Ezo, but maybe trying to utilize, as we saw in the previous games, potentially a 5K swing with Garp in the future turns after a 10-drop Newgate. So pitching the Red Rock not needed in this matchup. Emu now going to 9 Dawn, actually 7 Dawn, I'm sorry. 7 Dawn, still can't play the 10-drop Elder, but could go in and play something like the Marcus Mars or Nuzjuro, right, to be able to get rid of this Marco on the field and minimize the amount of swings that he's going to take in the next turn. I could have sworn there was a 1-drop leader in a list I saw. I don't know if it was Trafalgar Law, but I feel like there was a 1-drop leader that I saw. Or a 1-drop searcher. Is going to go ahead and play the Nuzjuro off of the empty throne. Nuzjuro going to be able to minus 2,000 power somewhere on the board, more than likely this Marco. And so now is going to go ahead and I think swing and minus at that Marco. Is going to be drawing 3, 2 from the Marco and 1 from the Dawn ×1 leader effect. Still has 1 Dawn left open. The 3 netting him, I think, an Ezo 10-drop Newgate and Garp. So now a 6,000 swing at lead with leader is just going to be a 1K Jozu. Jozu not needed in this matchup because you can't remove anything off the field. Another 1K Yamato on that final 6,000 power swing. And now leader effect going in and drawing a card, a Warcury for a Warcury. Yeah, you would forfeit your leader ability. So I don't know if it was law. I'll try to figure it out and tell you guys in Discord. And so is going in now on his 8 Dawn turn, playing out that I am Whitebeard event on curve. I think is thinking about whether or not he wants to take a life and go up to 8,000 power. In the last several weeks, right, in this EB03 format, we've seen more and more players utilize that second effect on the 8-drop. Just being an 8,000 power leader is so beneficial in so many situations, but does not opt for it this time around. Is thinking about what to pitch, is eyeing up the Jozu, right? Still has 2 events in hand, could utilize with leader effect, and now attaching the 2 Dawn, 2 leader, and a character. Is thinking about where he wants to attach to a character. He does have to do it, I think, or maybe has the option to with the up 2. He's just opting not to do it because you can't swing at anything, even if you attach the 2 to Garp. Is going to go ahead with an 8,000 power swing. And now using the originally it was never there, is going to keep his bodies on the live and no life taken on this turn. Is going to have a couple swings that he can do now at this ace. Now is going to a 9 Dawn turn. Still can't play the 10 drop, but you can have a couple bodies onto the field and a little bit of searching, as I see with that 1 drop event. Does have a Warcury in hand, so could establish a blocker. Yeah, I think the list that I've seen of GP, they drop Mary Go and they play the promo Robin, and I think they play the Nami as well. Is going to go ahead with that event. Search the top of the deck for a card, maybe looking for something like a Jupiter, something with a little bit of counter on it, or maybe a Jupiter to play to be able to make these 7,000 power swings, and you don't have to invest any Dawn onto the Saturn or Nuzjuro to be able to go in at lead. And so is going to go for a 10-drop Elder, his 3rd 10-drop Elder in there, and he says, I am not going to miss 10-drop Elder. It's hard to tell, Penguin Dragon, because we'll be in the OP13 format when EB03 comes out. And now the Nuzjuro swinging 8,000 power at lead is going to force 2 cards or a block, and is just going to go, or I'm sorry, he has 6,000 power at lead. There is no Jupiter on the field. 6,000 power at lead is just going to be a 1K counter out of that swing, and another 6,000 power going at the ace leader. Does have another 1K in the Garp and Ezo if he wants to do it. Still healthy at 3 life, and the potential for a free block is going to go with the 1K there, and the empty throne probably going to be used after a Saturn swing. And so now with the empty throne is going to play that War Curie out onto the field and passes off the turn, does not swing with the Saturn at this point, wants to leave specifically 3 Dawn up, even though does not have any counter events in hand, did not want to go in with the Saturn swing because it's a very simple block from the new gate. Now you get to keep your Saturn as active, and Ace now can't swing into it at this point. And so Ace, now having another 10 drop out on the field, is going to use the event and play out the 10 drop, playing over the Otama, leaving 2 Dawn as active, and now is once again thinking about drawing from the life to be plus 2,000 power. Didn't do it the first time. Now with only a 3-card hand, is opting not to do it once again. The draw 2 trash 1 going to leave him with 1 card in hand. Pitches the Yamato after finding a Yamato and Otama. Now attaching the 2 Dawn is going to go to Garp and Ace. Now with the 2 active Dawn that you have, you can swing a little bit bigger with the Garp. The 5,000 power swing going at the Nuzjuro is going to collect the knockout to start, and now the big swing coming in at lead at 8,000 power, leaving up 1 Dawn as active. Is going to go ahead and block with the War Curie and draw 1 card, and a new gate coming in with the 12,000 power swing is going to put Emu down to 2. Ace still at 3 life, and now an Ezo coming in to play over the Garp is going to be very, very healthy, but maybe thinking about keeping this Garp onto the field, right? Especially if you can find another 10 drop Edward Newgate. Maybe you want the Garp on the field to be able to swing potentially another 5 with that other event that you have in the hand, but opts to not keep him on the field. And so Ezo now going in, looking at this top 5, does find a Marco, as well as, I think that was a 10 drop Newgate. It was. So now he's going to have a 3rd Newgate to play on the turn. The Emu player bigging his eyes, right, making them very, very large, and it's going to be a tough one, I think, at this point for Emu, but now you get to do your 10 Dawn turn, and with your 10 drop Elders, now you're going to be able to get the Exodia out onto the field. Yeah, Mars is such a big counter to a lot of stuff in this format. That's why I like playing Mars in my Red-Black Sabo. I think Nami is the better of the two between Nami and Vivi for sure. But it's a little hard to tell right now because we're coming into OP14. And one of the things that I think about is, does Boa replace Nami in the format? And so Emu now starting out with the 6,000 power swing is just going to be a 1k counter off the Yamato, now drawing for turn. Hurts him not to have the Jupiter on the field. Jupiter being able to force so many cards with just 1 Dawn on your characters. Starts out with the empty throne to immediately go into the 10 cost. The 10 cost now on the effect, resting 1 additional Dawn and trashing 1 card, is going to be able to get all 5 Elders out onto the field. And I think at this point you have to pitch the Marcus Mars to be able to have all 5 Elders in the trash. I don't think we had seen a Marcus Mars yet in the trash or no, we did. I'm sorry. Marcus Mars just being the best option to be able to get rid of. So now Saturn is going to be going ahead on the draw. Can only find a 5 Elders, so does have to grab Jupiter, Marcus Mars, or I believe that is a War Curie there. Opts for the Jupiter. Nice 2k in the hand. I don't know. There's been a lot of people in Japan that have been hyping up Boa. So I don't know. I think Dracula Mihawk's the best out of them all, though. And so Nuzjuro going ahead with an 8,000 power swing, right? Because Jupiter puts him at 7,000 power base, is going to go ahead and minus the Newgate, and Ace going ahead and taking his first life, now drawing off of the leader effect. Only can expect 1 more swing on this turn from leader, which could lead to a free block. So passes off the turn, not swinging at leader, leaving all the Dawn open. Does have a couple counter events in hand to be able to utilize, but you don't want to opt for the free block. And so now Ace thinking about whether or not he wants to play the 10-drop Newgate or the 9-drop Newgate. We saw the Ace player in the previous round in the top 4 opt for 3 straight 10-drop blocker Newgates, and so maybe eyeing up that play this time around, not utilizing the 9-drop. Well, we did get some reveals. We saw the Panda sleeves. We saw Panda Man sleeves, which chat got a kick out of, and I learned what Panda Man was. And so Ace now is going in with that third 10-drop Newgate, as I mentioned before, is going to go ahead with that life-taking to go down to 1, be an 8,000 power leader, now using the Newgate effect of draw 2 and trash 1. Does find another 10-drop Newgate, his fourth one, finding all 4 of them. No Goldie Roger as of yet. So after pitching that one, may see on the defensive side, finally utilizing some of these Ezos that are on the field with that on opponent's attack to maybe dig a little bit deeper to try to find Roger. So attaching the Dawn from the Newgate effect to leader, and Newgate is going to make Ace a 10,000 power swing at least, and Newgate a 14,000 power swing. Yeah, the Newgates are crazy. When Ace gets the Newgates going, it's so tough. That's why Stussy is so good in some of these black decks. Oh yeah, like I think she has a different play style, but what I mean is terms of like, when I say replace chat, what I mean is like the amount, like popularity numbers, like population density within a tournament. That's what I mean. I apologize. I know they do play different. They are 2 different decks. This is in the EB03 format. So yes, it's the OP13 EB03 format. Correct. And so attaching one more Dawn does have that plus 2,000 power, so is going to be an 11,000 power swing. Starts off with the War Curie block to draw 1 card. So the draw 1 coming in still has that 4 active Dawn. Is going to swing now with these blocker Newgates, 12,000 power, going in at lead, it looked like. Boa very much feels like you run a very heavy Kuja Pirates build because of that leader effect of forcing your opponent to take life when your Kuja Pirate characters are KO'd, and like you want to play trigger bodies as well. That's what I think Boa really should lean towards. I don't know if it can play the Kuma, because Kuma's so hard to find. And so on that Newgate swing is going to block with the Marcus Mars. Now the 14,000 power at lead is going to net a life, pass off the turn. Lots of cards in the Emu's hand, right? Ace now sitting at 6 cards in hand, 1 life and 1 blocker active, but the 2 Ezos might be able to dig a little bit more. So here's the thing, especially with 3 Newgates that have been drawn, the 4th one in the discard pile. Can you afford to put Ace down to 0 at this point? Especially with Goldie Roger in the format and a card that Ace definitely plays at least 1 copy of. How much do you think that he has one in his hand right now is the real question. Was a gamble that we saw our Emu player take in the top 4 round. Now we'll see it again. Starts off with an 8,000 power swing and a 1K counter onto the Atmos to get out of that one. So using the leader effect, drawing 1 card. What is that card going to be? It looks like it's going to be a Shalria, a little bit of counter. Still a couple different swings before we do anything with playing our cards. You see a Saturn and a Jupiter. The Jupiter now swinging 8,000 power. But maybe he's thinking against it? Yeah, I really wonder why he hasn't used the Ezos yet. Like, he hasn't used Ezos on opponent's attack at all. And I'm wondering why. Because he's played over an Ezo. Yeah, Emu has a huge hand right now. Is going to go ahead, swing now 8,000 power with the Saturn, attaching 1 Dawn. So is just going to be 1 card to get out of this, right? You've got a couple 2Ks in hand, got a blocker on field, but ends up going down to 0. Is maybe trying to bait this Emu into going all in. Is going to take that life, draw 2 Rogers. So not only finding 1 Roger, found 2 of them. So is going to be able to use it to swing at Emu. And so now Emu has to think about how much Dawn you leave open for events. How big do you continuously go at swings, right? You've got 3 potential swings left at the most with Jupiter, leader, and the Nuzjuro either off the 10 drop or from your hand on the empty throne. So what gives you the best odds of winning? An AK leader in Ace is definitely very tough to go against, and so is going to use the empty throne to play the 10 cost Elder, and it looks like just going ahead and using the effect. So Ace now sitting in a prime position at this point, now sitting at 0 life. Emu playing down the 5 Elders, probably, if anything, looking for a counter event on this draw from the Saturn. Does not find a counter event at all, does find a little bit of counter. The Jupiter being a 2K, but that's not the 4K originally. It wasn't there. And so with the 4 Dawn left open, you do have to commit 1 to be able to swing with the Nuzjuro. And if he minus the active Newgate earlier in the turn on the first swing, then another Nuzjuro swing would be able to minus the Newgate to 8,000 power. So no matter what, he has to give a card to be able to go in. So now our Ace player finally thinking about using the Ezos. So is going to do exactly that. Utilize this first emo to draw 1 card and bottom deck 1 card. Is going to bottom deck one of the 2 Rogers. I think it would be absurd to limit Roger and Pudding to 1, in my honest opinion. Most everybody plays either of those cards at 1, maybe 2 max anyways. I think limiting it to 1 wouldn't make sense, really. And so is going to use the second Ezo effect now. Just going to get them both out of the way. Bottom decking this Marco. Finds a lot of counter, I will say. Drew into 2 2Ks on the 2 Ezos, Kingdu and Uta. So especially if he's going to go all in with the Roger on the next turn. Only has to hit twice to be able to win this game. Emu, one thing that you do have to think about is Emu does have a lot of cards in hand right now. And so uses the 2K Thatch to get out of the turn. Passes off the turn. How much counter does Emu actually have in hand with the 3 Dawn as active? You do have to hit twice out of your 5 swings. You've got pretty good odds as the Ace. But with all those cards in hand that he's built up, I will say I'd be shaking in my boots a little bit. Is he not thinking about playing the Roger on this turn? And so is going to go with the 9-drop Newgate. So 9-drop Newgate going to give him plus 2,000 power and 1 Dawn left to open. Does have the Pirapple event that we saw in the previous game, is going to be plus 3K power onto your leader, especially as he's an 8K leader. Just going to take this game a little bit slower to try to bleed out this Emu's hand. And so getting out of the attack with the originally it was never there, thinking about swinging with these Newgates. Can you survive with the Newgates? And says, you know what? I'm just going to hold. I'm going to pass off the turn. You have too many cards in hand. Next turn, he would definitely be able to get game, right? With 4 Newgates and a Roger. Yeah, 9-drop Newgate guarantees a win if he survives out of this turn. And because he has 4 2Ks and a 3K counter event, I don't know if he can lose. I think Ace had a pretty good shot of winning if he played Roger down onto the field, but with all the cards in hand from the Emu, I think he's trying to get out these counter events. And so getting out of that first swing with Kingdu, minusing 2,000 power on that Newgate that is in front of all the other ones. Now they're in time. So I think the Emu player has this turn, and then the Ace has another turn, and then that's it. That is the game, I think. So both players really got to go for game now at this point, I think. Unless Emu thinks he can hold on with 1 life. On the Jupiter swing, ends up blocking with the Newgate. Because the thing about Emu is, like some people in chat are saying, like Haras, if you get those events, right, and you bleed out those events, sure, he's got some 2Ks and 1Ks, but can that stop 3 12,000 power swings, a 10,000 power Newgate, and a Roger? So you want to try to bleed those out as much as possible. Ends up using leader effect to grab another 2K, and it looks like he's utilizing the empty throne to get a 10 cost out on the field. Maybe just banking that he doesn't have Roger. Does have still 2 blockers on the field. is going to go with the Shalria on that Activate main to be able to get the Nuzjuro out once again. The Saturn now going in and drawing a card off of the search. Does find a 2K that you, or no, can't grab that 2K, can only grab the Elders. So ends up grabbing a 1K, still better than nothing. So is going to put that in hand and more than likely pass off the turn, right? Because the Nuzjuro just netting a free block, especially with Ace playing out these blockers and then coming into this late game being an 8,000 power leader. We've seen it in back-to-back games by this top 4 player, has proved to be so good against Emu. Is definitely a strategy if you're looking to improve your matchup against Emu in the Treasure Cups, in the regionals that are happening. Definitely something to take note of, in my opinion. And so now passing off to Ace in the 10 Dawn turn. He's got Roger in hand. Does he slam it down? And he does. Roger now nullifying all the blockers. The 6,000 power swing at leads. Got plenty of 2Ks in hand so he can get out of this one. The 10,000 power at lead is going to be a 1-cost event to go to 9. And then a 2K to get out of that one. 12,000 power at lead. 3 Dawn open. Quick math, 7 cards in hand. Looks like it might be just a little bit too much for our Emu, but not before a fight with Equilibrium going 3,000 power. And then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To get out of that 12,000 power swing at 13. Another 12,000 power swing. Takes the life. He's laughing with the player. Does get a trigger for a search. We'll see if he finds a 1-drop event. I don't think it would matter in the end. It finds a Marcus Mars. The 13,000 power swing at lead is going to net Ace the win. A slow, methodical game by the Ace. Right? Looked a little scary for both players, but both players kind of finding their rhythm exactly when they needed to in that game. But Ace just having a little bit more of an edge with those searchers in the beginning and really carrying out his game plan, right? Emu faltering a little bit, missing on some of those events. Had too many events early.